I'm building a custom Firebird guitar, and after several weeks of really hard work, we're finally getting something that looks an awful lot like an electric guitar. Okay, so the next big job we need to do on here is to fit the bridge and the tailpiece. Now, actually a relatively straightforward job to do, but you do need to make sure that you're doing some quite accurate measurements. There's only a limited range of adjustment on these tune-o-matic bridges, and if you get it in the wrong position, you'll never get the thing to intonate. So it does need to be fairly accurate, but we're not talking NASA tolerances here. So it really is nothing to be afraid of. Now there's two different attachment methods for the two different components. The bridge sits on these little posts that just need drilling and screwing into the body of the guitar, and the tailpiece is fitted via these bushes that are recessed into the body, and then these screws that go into them. Very standard stuff. I'm sure most of you have seen this before. But the first thing we need to do is just do some measuring and some marking. And all of our measurements need to be taken from the position of the nut. And as we don't have a nut in position at the moment, we need to improvise something. So I've just prepared this kind of little block of wood. It's actually an offcut from an old fingerboard, and I'm just going to stick that in position. I'm actually just going to use a couple of little dots of super glue. Both the Wenge and the rosewood are quite oily, so it won't actually stick that well, but it will hold it in position while I get these measurements done. And with that done, I've got a real positive stop now for my rule to sit against. And if I need to, I can actually just tape that down at the other end just to keep it in exactly the right position while we mark this off. And the measurement I'm going to use comes straight off the StewMac fret position calculator, and that is 630.199 millimeters. Now obviously there's no way on earth I can measure 0.199 millimeters, so I'm just going to go a hair above 630. Obviously we do have a little bit of adjustment on the bridge, so it isn't absolutely vital that we're 100% spot on. And the actual beauty of this design is that we've got a nice little ledge there that we can get a square against, which you don't normally get. And we can use that to square that line. We don't, however, want to put this bridge on square. There needs to be a little bit of compensation. So StewMac kind of recommend pitching it back on the bass side between a 1/16 and an 1/8 of an inch. I've generally done it with a protractor before, and I will measure back 3 degrees from there. Probably gives you a very similar result. But we need to make sure that this is positioned centrally as well. So I've done a little bit of calculating, and the distance between the centres of the two post holes is 72 and a little bit mil. So I'm going to just set a pair of dividers up to 36 mil and just put a couple of marks on for those positions. So we'll drill that one where it is, and we'll just step that one back. I'm going to go 1/8 of an inch, which is about 3 mil. That'll give us about there. And I'm actually glad of doing it that way, because it would be quite difficult to do it the 3 degrees way because of the nature of this body. but setting that up very roughly to 3 degrees kind of puts me in line with that hole anyway. So now what I need to do is just mic up one of these posts, which comes in 3.8 something mil, so about 3.9 mil. So I'll drill that out with a 3.5mm drill bit. So we'll just whip this over to the drill press and get these 2 holes drilled out. And the one thing I do like about these more modern tune-o-matic bridges is the little posts actually have a socket in them for an Allen wrench, so it makes installing them much easier. It's then just a matter of screwing that in. Just chucking those adjustment collars on. And hopefully, if we've done our maths right, that should just slip on nice and easily. And that's spot on. Brilliant, really happy with that. And with that successfully completed, we can now just stick the stop tail piece on. Luckily, this doesn't have to be quite so precise as this, but it does have to be in the right position. You basically want it so that the break angle from the string will get through the tailpiece without fouling the back of the bridge. You can kind of adjust it up and down. Some people don't like to do that. They reckon that it kind of sucks tone out of the guitar. Don't know how true that is, but personally I just prefer it to work out of the box. So there is a little bit of setting up to do, but nowhere near as complicated as to put the bridge in place. So I've just consulted the drawing, and what that tells me is that the center line for the stop tail piece is 42mm back from the center line for the bridge. So we'll just very quickly measure that off, which will put us there. We'll square that across. And again, I've measured the centers on the tailpiece, and that's 80mm, which we can kind of check visually. Looks about right. So again, it's a case of setting the dividers up to half that distance. And just putting a couple of marks in. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this to the drill press. I'm going to drill one of them. I'm going to insert the little bush and the stud. We will then fit the bridge to that and then mark the second one with a transfer punch from that, just to ensure that we're actually getting this how we need it. I've had it in the past where I've kind of done them both at the same time, and then when you try and get the tailpiece on, it's a little bit on the tight side and you have to kind of force it on. And there we have bridge and tailpiece fitted. I'm really, really happy with the way that that's gone. They all fit really nicely, go on and off really easily, which is absolutely great. And that means we're kind of getting right down to the last few little things that need doing. I say little. One of them is to actually carve the neck on this thing, which is no small feat by any stretch of the imagination, but not a problem either. So starting that is going to be the next task on our list of things to do, but I'm going to leave that till the next episode. So as always, if you've enjoyed this episode, don't forget to drop me a like and a comment as well, even if it is just to say hi. If you haven't already done so, please consider subscribing to the channel. It really does help me out, and it helps me push this channel out to people who might not otherwise come across it. So it really, really would be helpful. If you've done all those things already, your continued support is always welcome. I'll look forward to seeing you in the next episode. So thanks a lot for watching. Bye-bye.